Innovation, innovation, innovation. It's inflation in the word innovation. Everybody talks about innovation because it's so important, because our world is changing so fast and we need to innovate. Innovate or die. Disrupt yourself before anyone else does. Innovate with startups. But what is innovation? I read this article from ideatovalue.com, and they asked 15 innovation experts of the definition of innovation. And guess what? None were the exact same. So there's a bit of a confusion. And what do I work with? Innovation. Well, I worked with human-centric product innovation and corporate innovation for more than 16 years at Volvo Cars. And in a complex world, I like to keep things simple. So I've summarized my take on the subject in what I call my 6 T's of corporate innovation. You ready? My first T is to. And I'm going to start by asking, what is this? Anyone? It's the map of the future. Can't you see? You know exactly what islands to visit, what shallow waters to avoid. Yeah, wouldn't that be great if we had the map of the future? But the fact of the matter is, the only part of the future we know is about this big. And inside this square, we can plan, we can predict, we can, from insights and trends and new technologies, and we stick to the plan, and failure is not an option. And outside, the gray area there, that's the future we don't know. No one knows the future. So we have to take it one step at a time. Pick up a rock, see if that can create value. Try again, you fail, and you eat failure for breakfast because you experiment and try and experiment and fail all over again. So that's what I mean with two principles, and both feeding innovations. So my next T is thirst. And I'm about thirsty now. Thirst, I mean you thirst for more, and both on a corporate level and on an individual level. So on a corporate level, you can refer to it as Rasmus Ankerson's Hunger in Paradise. You're in paradise. Your company is doing great. And you lean back and you relax and you become fat and happy. And that's your biggest mistake. So don't do that. Keep being thirsty. On an individual level, it's more about learning continuously, trying new things. Get on the stage at the theater and or the conference. It's so challenging. It sort of tickles your stomach. But when you do that, you learn something and you grow as a person and you get new perspectives. And talking about new perspectives, I was only 16 years old when I went all the way across the world to Australia. And this exchange organization told me, hey, Charlotta, Swedish people, they see everything through a blue lens. And Aussie people, they see everything yellow. So don't go to Australia and experience everything green. You have to remove your own lens and, really experience something different. So hence, blue plus blue is yellow. That's what I mean with new perspectives. Okay, my next T is thoughts. And this has to do with your mind, your creativity, and how your brain is working. We heard the experts yesterday about the neuroscience. I read this article from National Science Foundation published in 2005, and they did a study on your thoughts, and an average person thinks about 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day, and their conclusions there were 95% of the thoughts you think today are the exact same tomorrow. And what's even more depressing is that 80% of your thoughts are negative. So how can we then be creative and come up with new ideas? How can we be creative in a room full of these? Well, innovation needs creativity. It's a very important ingredient, but creativity is not the same as innovation. And what I want to stress here is that creativity is a skill, and like IKEA and Lego was talking about yesterday, kids are very creative, but as we grow older, we tend to become less creative. So our brain needs help. And in the creative process, you need to use creative methods to, free your mind, get rid of your whatever filters there, and think those new thoughts, not the same as yesterday. We heard them before. My next T is trust. And this is really that you have to trust in your employees. Sometimes uncomfortable or weird ideas. It might just be that you don't understand them. And I think Adobe Kickbox Adobe did a Kickbox. It's a physical red box, and I think it's a great example of, giving your employees the opportunity to develop their ideas. It's everything you need. So you raise your hand, I have an idea, here's a red box. And it contains everything you need. It contains a Starbucks gift card, a chocolate bar, and a credit card of $1,000. So go out there, just do it. And come back and see if you found some value. Okay, my next T is truce. Ceasefire, stop fighting internally. You all work at the same company or for the same company. And as an example there, I was part of this all-women team putting this 2004, this concept car called YCC, Your Concept Car. And that was a long time ago. Back in 2004, our company weren't as diverse as we are today. And being a female in a male environment was, a bit tough. And you pick all these women and you put them in the same project team, and you can just imagine. It was tough. I remember coming home from work crying of anger. I was, ugh. But eventually we produced this beautiful concept car, and I encourage you to Google it and read about the features in there. It's created massive publicity. And another thing of stop fighting internally is that if you don't, you will lose the entrepreneurial skilled people, because they're fighting the internal war and the external war. So stop fighting. Okay, my last T is tenacity, which is, in other words, stubbornness, don't give up. And here I'm going to take a bit of a sidetrack and talk about our global idea generation event. It's an event, and it could be like just another event like this one, maybe not comparable because this event is so great. But it's an event like another event, and we create a lot of inspiration and energy, and we network and we have fun. But there's this guy called Jason Yotopoulos in Silicon Valley. He runs a company called Mac 49. He's referring to these innovation jams or gigs, and I heard Tendai was talking about the innovation theater as well, with no definite results. And a lot of companies have tried them, and they've thrown in the towel and said, we tried innovation, it doesn't work. But I wasn't ready to give up, because I think that we have something unique. I believe in the collective brain power of our global enterprise. Once a year, we gather or we meet online using an online tool. We even have an app now, so you can post your ideas on the go or whenever you have the idea, because it's usually not at work. We train our graduates, and they are moderators to sort of boost the ideas when they are posted, and a lot of inspirational material, and we even have local ambassadors now in the factories, because they're not online all the time. You do changes and you improve because you learn things, and then you make it better, like we were talking about earlier today. What's better? The biggest transformation we did was to change the setup from push to pull. So previously, we tended to push ideas out in the organization. We had all these great ideas, and we categorized them, and we started pushing them. Hey, we have a lot of ideas here. Don't you want to read them? And they're like, no, I haven't asked for ideas. Stop bugging me. So you really have to start with somewhere in the organization where there's a clear demand of ideas, so you really have the pull. We want ideas. And that's what we did this year. We posted 3 challenges using our online tool, and we also set up a lot of prerequisites, which are really, really important, because it's not just the event. It's before, you have to put in time and resources and budget, and it's after. Because you can assume that you will get a lot of ideas that you want to continue with, and if you haven't got that in place to start off with, it's going to be uphill. So you have to have that in place, and you have to have management support, and you have to have like an ownership, a stakeholder in place. And another thing is that you have to sort of frame the question. You can't really, what's the future car gonna look like? That's too fluffy, it's too wide. You will get all sorts of ideas. So you have to frame the question, and even frame it more with putting evaluation criteria. For example, it has to be implemented within 2 years. Then all the ideas that don't meet your challenge, throw them away. That wasn't what you were asking for. So don't, push them and see, this idea was really good. It wasn't the challenge, but, do you want it? No, we don't want it. So throw them away. As we speak, the team has 32 claimed ideas, and they're working very hard to develop them further, and I can assure you we will have definite results, and you will see them in a few years' time. To give some examples of previous definite results, I have 2 examples with me. It's an idea called Eco-Conscious Volvo Merchandise, and it's really about using scrap material from old cars and reproduce that as new merchandise. It might seem like a simple idea, but in this case, it was actually the actual process that wasn't really there. And the team has now produced beautiful key rings, and there's more to come. So they sort of paved the way for more to come. And the next idea is an idea called Service 24/7, which is basically that. By the press of a button, you get service 24/7. And this idea helped to push a pilot project in both in China and in Europe with extended services. So, wrapping up my 6 T's of corporate innovation, if you have these ingredients in place, I think your company has a fair chance of seeing the future. Thank you.